be on you, Pastor Yardley Griffin Jr., lead pastor of Destiny the Experience Church here in the city of Sacramento. I'm excited that you pressed or clicked play to watch us. Do me a favor, hang out with us for a little while, enjoy this worship, hear what God has to say to you, and I'll be back at the end to share a few things with you. God bless you. God keep you. Peace. Acts chapter 5, verse 1. I have 11 verses to read. I don't normally read a lot of scripture, but I'm going to read all of it. But a man named Ananias with his wife Sapphira sold a piece of property. And with his wife's knowledge, he kept back for himself some of the proceeds and brought only a part of it and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter said, Ananias, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit and to keep back from yourself part of the proceeds of the land? While it remained unsold, did it not remain in your own? And after it was sold, was it not at your disposal? It's ringing a little bit. Why is it that you have contrived this deed in your heart? You have not lied to man, but to God. The young men rose and wrapped him up and carried him out and buried him. Y'all there with me? I skip verse 5. When Ananias heard these words, he fell down and breathed his last. And great fear came upon all the people. Then the young men arose and wrapped him up and carried him out and buried him. Verse 7. After an interval of about 3 hours, his wife came in, not knowing what had happened. And Peter said to her, tell me whether you sold the land for so much. And she said, yes, for so much. But Peter said to her, how is it that you have agreed together to test the Spirit of the Lord? Behold, the feet of those who have been buried, who have buried your husband, are at the door, and they will carry you out. Immediately she fell down at his feet and breathed her last breath. When the young men came in, they found her dead, and they carried her out, buried her beside her husband, and great fear came upon the whole church and upon all who heard of these things. For a little while today, I want to talk about hoarders. I want to talk about hoarders. Hoarders. Everybody say hoarders. Look at your neighbor and say hoarders. Look at your other neighbor and say hoarders. Hallelujah. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Gary Clark said, I'm somewhat of a hoarder. I keep everything. He said, I'm somewhat of a hoarder. I keep everything. Y'all ready to go? All of us have some hoarder in us. If we're honest today, all of us have kept something beyond its time that should have been discarded, given away, thrown away, passed on, passed down, or even sold into someone else. All of us have kept some things that we should not have kept. And some of the things that we have kept have had the reverse effect than we thought. We kept it to help us, but it actually hindered us. We liken it today to the Old Testament story of Achan, who stole money and clothes from the destruction of Jericho after the entire nation was warned not to take anything. But God said, burn it all. Achan took what he thought would not be noticed by Joshua. But what Achan failed to realize is that we do not serve man, but we serve God. And even though Joshua didn't see it, God could smell it. And what was meant for the children of Israel at that time to be a celebration of victorious triumph and progress ended up being a solitary funeral of strife and asking the question why. And the why is because Achan was a hoarder. Hoarding is a persistent difficulty discarding or parting with possessions because of a perceived need to save them. The Bible records in the book of Acts that we just showed a husband and wife team, Ananias and Sapphira. They sold a piece of their own property. The property belonged to them, and hear me, they did not have to sell it. Hear me, let me say it again. They did not have to sell their property. Let me say it one more time. They did not have to sell their property, but they chose to sell it and chose to only bring, hear me, a portion of the sale to the Lord. Now, this is New Testament first church time. Whatever you sold, and if you brought it to the Lord in the New Testament first church, you brought the entire sale. Let me try it again. For those of you who walking around talking about the reason why I don't give is because tithing is Old Testament. New Testament tithing. Whatever you bring in, you bring the entire lot to the Lord. Let me try it one more time. Whatever you bring all of it to God. You bring it to, as it were, the distribution center, the apostles' feet, and they distributed it how it should be distributed to all God's people. That means everybody got a fair chance. Everybody was able to live. You did not have to, but if you did, you were supposed to bring all of it. The problem with Ananias and Sapphira, you thought we wasn't in our Money Matter series. Yes, we are. This is Sermon 3 in our Money Matter series on Hoarders. The problem is they didn't have to bring anything. But when you choose to bring to God, you have to bring what God asks. God help me already. You don't get to negotiate when God makes a command and or a demand on your life of how you're going to bring God what you're supposed to bring God. Come on, somebody. Y'all better talk to me real fast. It was proper custom in the early church to sell all and bring all. According to Peter's response, Peter responded to Ananias. You didn't have to sell anything nor bring anything. But because you did, you messed up. Ananias could have kept his money. But because he had a difficult time parting ways with what belonged to God, he created his own issue. You walk around talking about why I don't have enough. You created your own issue when you cut covenant with God. 3 hours later, his wife shows up volunteering the same lie. Peter said, oh, you sold property? He said, yeah. He said, oh, you brought everything from the property you sold? He said, yeah. Peter said, you lied. You died. 3 hours later, his wife shows up. Peter gives her a chance. Are you sure? God, I'm trying to. Are you sure that you really did what you said? She said, yeah. And she said, he said, how dare you conspire with the dead man? You thought you were getting over on me. But you don't realize that even if you don't give, God's going to take care of his church. See, the giving that you do, come on, somebody help me. The giving that you, see, we taught you, the giving that you do, it blesses the church, but God takes care of his church. You're holding back. Can I talk to you real good? And I know I'm going to find, you're holding back. It don't hurt church. It hurts your relationship. Come here, husbands and wives. When you withhold from your mate, you don't hurt your kids, you hurt your love relationship. And you think you're affecting God's people. I'm not cursed because you won't do your job. You're walking around feeling bad. You're walking around having more month than money. Do you realize that gas went up astronomically, like 27 cents in the last weekend and last week? Do you realize that this guy right here, I still don't look at how much gas costs. I just put gas in my car. Because it's not going to change. And how is it that I have not made any more money? Gas has gone up, but I still fill up my car. Y'all ain't happy with me. I wish I had friends. Let me try it again. I don't make any more money than I made last month. Gas has gone up. Food has gone up. The cost of living has gone up. My money has stayed the same, but I still fill up. God help me in the room. Why? Because my relationship with my God has not changed. Woo! Oh, glory. Peter tells the same men that carried out Ananias. I'm going to call him Andy. That carried out Andy, come get Sapphira. Come get Sapphira. Come get her. Bible says she fell down dead, and they and everybody around saw. That they weren't cursed, but they saw. God help me. Lord, deliver me from having to go through things. You've given me enough examples. Oh, I'm trying to help somebody in the room. You've had enough examples of people who didn't walk the right way. Yeah. So, Lord, deliver me from having to go through what I don't need to go through to learn the lesson that you're just trying to teach me from watching other people. Andy and Sapphira, they held on to God's money. They were hoarding God's money. They owed it to God because when they darkened the temple doors, their oath kicked in. Anybody who's cutting, I'm not talking if you don't know the Lord. Remember, this is for the brethren. If you're not part of the brethren, then I'm not talking to you. That means you need to come and accept Christ as your Lord and Savior. But if you're not part of the brethren, yeah. If you're not part of the brethren, I'm not talking to you. When you cut covenant with God, when you say, God, I want to be with you, that means, God, I choose to follow your plans and your commands. And if I'm supposed to give to you, then God, I give to you. And every time I darken your temple doors, my oath kicks in. God help me. Yeah, Bible says it's better not to make an oath than an oath than make an oath and not keep it. Every time I come to kingdom, every time I come to church, every time every time my money comes in and I see my money, I know I'm supposed to give my tithe. That's when my oath kicks in. Why? Because I have a covenant. It's called conviction. They were hoarding God's money, and according to Peter, they could have kept it, but because they chose to come and connect, they lost what they were hoarding. Because they chose to hold on to what was no longer beneficial to and for them. Hear me. When you hold on to what you don't need or what doesn't belong to you, you held on because you thought you needed it. But when you hold on to something that you don't need anymore, it's no longer beneficial. That's why the money you keep trying to hold on to, you keep having to pay extra bills. Because it's not beneficial. You should have gave it to God so God can give it back to you. So then you can go play games with it. But here you are going to Sky River New Casino with God's money. And you wonder why every time you go, you lose and you can't hit it big. Why? Because you're giving God's money away. And God said, if you trust me, you don't have to go to the casino. Why? Because I feel like shouting, I'll give back to you good measure, pressed down, shaking together, and running over. You don't need no casino. You don't need no ching-ching. But God will give back to you good down, pressed down, shaking together, and running over. Good measure, good measure, good measure, good measure, good measure, good measure. Come here. See, that's why. See, when you cut covenant with God, whatever belongs to God is no longer going to work for you. Because it belongs to him. Let me try it again. Somebody said, when you cut covenant with God, whatever belongs to God is no longer going to work for you because it belongs to God. That's why when you don't trust God with what God gave you to give back to him, it doesn't work out in your favor. Come here, Abram. God said, take your wife and things and go to a land that I'll show you, Abram. So Abram said, God, let me take Lot. And Lot became a headache, a hindrance, and a hardship. What are you hoarding and or having a difficult time letting go of that has now become a stronghold. You see, we only look at hoarding as boxes and bags stacked up to the ceiling. Look at that, 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 look at that. We look at hoarding as boxes and bags and stacked to the ceiling with food everywhere and animals and clutter. But sometimes the hoarding is in your heart and mind. And if hoarding, can I say it, Star? If hoarding is in your heart, then hoarding is in your giving. And if hoarding is in your giving, because where your treasure is, that's where your heart is, then that means that hoarding has invaded your life, and you keep misdiagnosing yourself as being frugal. But the truth is that you're really a hoarder. So today, instead of trying to get you financially free and free you from financial hoarding, if we can rebuke the hoarder in you, we can release the surrendered giver in you. So instead of talking about how much you don't give, let's talk about how much you hoard. So today, I'm not going to focus on giving. I'm going to focus on the fact that all of us hoard and all of us are surrounded by stuff that has hindered our quality of living. It has hindered our mobility and even hindered our, hear me, ability to invite others in. And that is the group that hoards pain. Let me hurry. There are 5 stages of hoarding. Is anybody still hanging with me? Have I got on anybody's nerves yet? All right, all right. There are 5 stages of hoarding. 5 stages of hoarding. Number 1 is clutter. Somebody might want to write this down. The 5 stages of hoarding. Number 1 is clutter. Everybody has clutter. Yeah, see, you thought you wasn't a hoarder. Everybody has clutter. Clutter is, there's real no concern with clutter because clutter is a small disorganization but it's still safe and sanitary. Clutter is present, but it's temporary. Clutter is, and when you have clutter, you recognize you have clutter. So when people come over, you be like, don't mind that over there. You don't go in that room over there because we took everything out of here and put it over there. It's not in nobody's way. It's temporary. Second stage of hoarding is of a person diagnosed with a hoarding disorder hoarding is a disorder. It's diagnosed with hoarding disorder is a deteriorating hygiene. That means you're a possible hoarder. Deteriorating hygiene. That means that your house may be in need of professional cleaners to come and not wash out, but just help you organize your space. You may have an exit that may be possibly partially blocked. You may have some overlooked electrical or plumbing problem. You have some things in your house that's broken, but you just kind of push it to the side. You have certain rooms where the garbage is overflowing. You got some dirty dishes in the sink, and you got laundry that's piled up that needs to be done. You might have some dirt, and you might have some mold, and then you got the stagnant dirt that just piles up on the side. It says I have an inconsistent routine, but I do clean up. I'm aware of it. I'm inconsistent, but I'm aware of it. The third stage of hoarding is called extreme disorganization. Extreme disorganization, which means you likely have a hoarding disorder. You likely have it. It's the threshold between messy, cluttered, and just a dysfunctional environment. You sit somewhere between messy, cluttered, overwhelming, and you can tell because the person is noticeably disorganized and they're a little overwhelmed. And because they're a little overwhelmed, their personality has changed a little bit. Their behavior has changed a little bit. Now there's like piles of debris that's obstructing walkways. Now the appliances that were covered up, now they're just broken and ain't nobody trying to fix it. They have stuff stacked up. There's spills and breaks that just go. People just step over. They're not trying to get their carpets clean. You go into the bathroom, and then the bathroom is okay, but you got stuff that don't belong in the bathroom stacked in the bathroom. Now the bathroom has become a storage space, and so now you gotta kind of weave through the bathroom just to go use the restroom. Number four is excessive clutter. Excessive clutter. That means you need to contact a professional. Call the city, call the city. We almost there. That means there's noticeable structural damage. There's clutter preventing entrances to rooms and stairs and exits. You have expired. Don't open the refrigerator. When you open the refrigerator, it doesn't smell. It doesn't smell like just food in the refrigerator. It smells like old food. There's odors and sewage backed up in the house. Number 5 is the most severe. It's severe unsanitary conditions. It's just outright when you walk up to the front door, you smell it coming outside. Living is impossible. There's little to no ventilation because if they open their windows, then people know something's going on the inside. So what's happened is they become used to the stench. It's in their clothes. It's in their pores. There's irreparable damages. There's no ventilation. The water is disconnected. The electrical services may not be on. Their health is at risk, and they just wallow in their clutter, and they don't go anywhere. You may now take that from your house and put that in your life. You may want to discover and or admit your hoarding stage because, hear me, God can't wipe away what you save. God, hear me. God can't wipe away what you're willing to save. God, take this thing away from me, but I put it in my savings account. Weeping may endure for a night, and joy can surely come in the morning. But some of us have stopped joy from coming in the morning because joy can't get through the clutter of our hearts. Joy can't penetrate our minds because I got excess clutter. My mind lives in severe unsanitary conditions. God help me share. I've got so much backed up stuff. I have so many downloaded and saved pictures in my phone that I can't take any more pictures. I take all these videos that I never watch or post. But I refuse to get rid of the video of the dog I saw because it was on the anniversary of 3 days before my grandma, who almost passed away in 93, got sick. I have boxes of things. God help me. I have boxes of things that I never look at and I never see them, but I hold on to them because if I get rid of them, I don't know. I don't even remember I have it. I don't even know what's in the garage. I don't even know. I can't park in my garage. We were in here on, Wednesday, Nessa. We was here on Wednesday, Nessa said, I got so much stuff from Daddy, I don't even know what to do. She just said, I just got to throw some of that stuff away. She said right there, because I got a whole storage for stuff I ain't looked at in 3 years. I don't even know what's in there, and I'm acting like if I get rid of it, it's going to kill me. Can I press my claim for another 15 minutes at least? We hoard. We hoard. This is going to hurt you. We hoard, Keisha, and we hold on to toxic things and toxic people when we don't trust that God has something better for us. And so you're holding on to those fractured memories because you're afraid that God can't fulfill your new memory bank. I can't use it anymore because every time I go near it, it makes me cry. But I hold on to it because I'm afraid that God won't fill it in with something better. Many times we are holding on to what is toxic. God help me today. Many times what we are holding on to is toxic, and when we initially attain said thing, it's not toxic. But it becomes toxic the longer we hold on to it. The longer we hold on to it, the more toxicity shows up. Ananias and Sapphira turned their increase into toxicity when they lied about bringing their all to God. Cain had a healthy, productive profession with unfailing increase, but when he decided to bring God what was left instead of what was right, he turned his production into toxicity. Why? Because truth is, I really have trust issues with God. Let me try it one more time. I know we have trust issues with people, but for many of us, the reason why we only do God on a do God basis is because I have trust issues with God. And we don't trust God, and we don't trust that God is going to do what he said he would do, because, hear me, our picture and concept of God is from people who were bipolar. They became God in our lives, and they changed like the wind. So we hold back from God, not because of him, but because of them. My God relationship has been confused with human relationships, so I'm afraid of God because my picture of God is framed through the lens of men. And because man will say they will give everything, but when it gets hard for them, they'll change their mind. I feel like that God won't give everything. It's hard for me to trust that God will give everything back. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together. Because people who I listened to were a bad representation. And so part of my hoarding disorder is not even because I want to be. It's because I'm afraid. And if I disconnect from how I was raised, I feel like I'm disrespecting my past. But I've got a word. I got a word. I'm sorry for those of you who put man in God's place. I got a word for you. I feel like shouting. God is not a man that he should lie. And God, for the three shouters, God says, I will and I am and I have brought you something better than what you're holding on to. Come here for a second. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, God speaks to Samuel, and God says to Samuel, y'all need to hear this. God says to Samuel, he says, how long are you going to cry over Saul? Who I rejected. Whoa! God help me in the room. He said, how long are you going to cry over Saul who I rejected? Now hear me. God didn't say how long you're going to be upset. God didn't even say you couldn't be upset. God said, how long are you going to cry over what is driving you crazy? God, notice, God did not beat Samuel up for crying over Saul. Come here. God doesn't beat you up for crying over what you had to, over your toxicity, because you became used to it. Oh, God. So God is not going to beat you up for it, but how long you going to be crying over Saul? How long will you sit in the clutter of your tears, desiring something new, but refusing to give up what doesn't work anymore? How long will you hold on to what is rejected and what is unstable and what is out of order? How long will you hold on to what has rejected you? I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on. We hold on to toxic things when we don't believe we deserve better and we don't feel like God will give us better. Whoa! Why are you still in it? Because that's what you feel like you deserve. You shout, I'm the head, not the tail. I'm above, not beneath. I'm a lender, not a borrower. But you don't believe that. How I know you don't believe that? Because you still with them people. You still hang out with those people. You still accept what anybody gives you. You never say no. You are, well, I guess I got to go. I got to show my face. I ain't got to show my face at your stuff. I don't got to come to your stuff. You can talk about me as much as you please. I refuse to live in toxicity. Can I give you one more? I think this is going to end this right here. Give you one more. We hold on. We hoard things when we don't have an understanding of seasons. We hoard things when we don't have an understanding of seasons. Ananias and Sapphira did not understand the season they were in. They had a misrepresentation of the season they were in. They believed that they were in the season they could bring what they wanted. They felt they were in the season of the Old Testament when Moses said, okay, that's enough, don't bring no more. It was a new season. The season they were in, you got to know your season. The season they were in was the bring everything season. That's why you got to be at Destiny. That's why you got to be at TTech. That's why you got to be at Bible study. And that's why I told you the other day, I don't trust you to watch Bible study online. No, I'm smart. No, you got to be here because the season that we're in, God, the season that we're in is shifting us. And you'll miss it. And you'll be on one plane and we're already somewhere else. And you're like, well, nobody told me, but you missed the season because you refused to be here. Sometimes, what I say refuse that, because sometimes you got to undo your own stuff so you can get what God has for you, because God is looking for some of us to say, you know what, maybe I will make them mad to make God glad. Woo! Maybe I won't go to my normal appointment this week. Have you ever tried that? Maybe I'll break my norm. I know I'm supposed to be there, but they got to wait. I remember when I was like 15, 16 or 17. I remember Bishop Adams was at our house. He used to live at our house. He was at our house, and one of his members called and said somebody died, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and my dad was like, you need to get back, and he said, Griff, they're going to be dead in the morning. And I got this kind of thing in my heart that now I'm going to say this, and two of y'all going to shout. The others of you still dealing with this. I have this sneaky suspicion in my life that right on here, God is way more important than all my stuff and all my money because he gave it to me anyway. And so sometimes I got to break my job to come and consecrate. Sometimes I can't go make money because I need to be in consecration. No, I can't. Can I just use y'all? I can't go pick up a body because I got to go to prayer. I know that's money, but if I spend time before the Lord, God's going to open up some new stuff for me. So sometimes I wish I had friends. I know you dealing with some stuff. I know you're trying to negotiate some stuff, but would you give God his first? Yeah. I'm at this different kind of place where I'm like, I got to give God his first. We hoard things. This is it. We hoard things when we don't have an understanding of seasons. Okay, got to quit. Expiration dates mean things are expired. Fads go out of style. Look at all these high schoolers in hoodies and sweats in 115-degree weather. Walking around, it is so hot. When, you write this one down, when something remains in your life past its expiration date, it causes unnecessary pain. That was from my Bishop S.Y. Younger. He said that. When something remains in your life, God help me, past its expiration date, it causes unnecessary pain. Am I doing all right, Lou? Is this all right? Am I doing all right? Some things hurt and afflicted you, and it's upsetting, but there is a chance that it hurts you, and the only reason why it hurt you because it has passed its expiration date. Some of us find ourselves stressed out with people because we've let that relationship. I wish I had a whole church in here that was. We've let that relationship go past its expiration date. If you let me put on the bottom shelf for you today, if you wouldn't have tried to eat that old ice cream, you said I smelled it and it didn't smell spoiled. But my question is, what did the expiration date say? God isn't spending his time smelling. God is speaking. And here you are walking around smelling milk. Check the date. I don't smell milk. I just check the date. I know I can get in trouble at home for not smelling the milk. Because Kylie told me this morning, I was preaching him on the car on the way here. Kylie said, sometimes I'd be like, Mom, is the milk expired? Is the milk spoiled? She'd be like, Mom, would like, smell it. I said, do you ever check the date? She said, no. I said, well, that's the problem. And then she said this, three of y'all gonna shout, y'all gonna have me sick. I said, no. We not gonna have you sick. It's not my job, God help me in here, to check the expiration date on your stuff. And here you are walking around. Nobody told me. I don't know your life. Everybody saw what was going on. Yeah, we saw it, but it looked like you liked it. enjoyed him ordering your food. I thought you liked toxicity. I thought you said you'd rather be taken care of than have your own mind. I wasn't getting involved in your domestic situation. Don't blame me because you refuse to read the expiration date. Let me quit. Sometimes we want things so bad that we overlook the expiration. And then what we do to make it right, y'all ready for me? We try to rebuke the devil. Come here, saints. Come here, my lactose intolerant saints. I'm going to eat this ice cream. But Lord, you know. Yeah, the Lord knows if you eat the ice cream, your stomach going to hurt. You tried to bring high school into adulthood, and you're wondering why you're irritated with those friends. Because it expired. You may be hurting because you are trying to keep something alive that was good, but only good in its season. It's no longer in season. I'm out of here. Joshua, I feel like shouting, but I won't. I'm going to stay calm. Joshua, I might shout here. Y'all forgive me. Joshua chapter 1 verse 2 says this, and Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise and go over. Arise and start getting over it. Your success in this season is connected to you getting over it. Your breakthrough in this season, I know we've learned to connect through brokenness, and we've cradled each other, and we've licked each other's wounds, and we've been like, oh my gosh, let's process through this, and we learn how to sit with each other, and we get into the playpen with each other, and we sit there and we hold each other through things and bad things, whatever. But God told me to tell about 6 of y'all today, and it's all of y'all if you want it. But your success in this season is that knowing that season is dead, and I don't have time. I don't have time. Okay, let me see if I can put it this way. I need to be around people right on through here that want to connect through victory, not pain. I need to get over it and move past it because God has got better for me. Moses served his purpose. Y'all missed it. Moses served his purpose. I thank God for what he did and how he raised me, but I've got to move on to my new space. I thank God, but that season's over. I'm not disrespecting my past. But if I stay in my past, I'll never get to my new season. I've got to arise and get over it. There was another side called promise. I cannot walk in promise if I'm having monthly memorial services about Egypt. My success is connected to my ability to get over and move past it. But sometimes a hoarder wants to hold on to their infirmities and their pains. A hoarder wants to hold on to their past because their identity has become synonymous with their pain. Their claim to fame is their pain. So I'm no good if I'm not forever identifying with my pain. So every funeral I do, I always got to remind people, I lost my brother and I lost my father. Because that becomes my claim to fame. But notice, if you will, Moses died. And black people, whenever you find out somebody passes away, we often ask two questions. The first question is, how did they die? What happened? The second question is, who has the body? What funeral home does the body? That's a good church Baptist question. Well, who has the body? Does Thompson's have them? Morgan and Jones? Lindbergh? Who has the body? But God told him. He said Moses died. So arise and go up because Moses is dead. There's no time for a funeral because you've got to arise. You don't get to have a funeral because God said, I buried Moses. So you don't get to know where Moses buried. Because if you know where Moses is buried, you might try to go to the graveyard and dig him back up. So I'm closing, and I know I got 2 or 3 shouters in here. But somebody in the room needs to take about 13 seconds and thank God for unmarked graves. God buried it so I would know where it was. So that means I can't go back and dig up what he deleted. That's why sometimes you be mad when you go on your phone trying to find that one thing. And it got deleted. And you can't even recall it. I wish I had 3 friends. You can't recall it. You can't find it because God doesn't want you to have it anymore. Because God does not want you to go back to that same vomit. Because if you go back, you're going to start doing the same things you did before. And God says, I want you to be a new creature where old things have been passed away and all things will become new. Lord, I thank God that that grave is unmarked, so I can't even go visit it at the graveyard because my grief in that situation has to end. Thank you for joining us and hanging out with us today. It's been my pleasure to share God's word with you. If you're blessed today and you say, Pastor, I was so blessed, I want to become part and I want to know more about the church, email us at destinytheexperiencechurch@gmail.com. If you're saying, Pastor, I want to sow a seed at our Cashapp, $EncounterPartner. The Experience Church will pop up, $EncounterPartner right there. And if you're in the area and you want to come and worship with us, we have worship every Sunday at 10:30 at 9261 Folsom Boulevard. We have worship on the first Saturday of every month at 12 noon, right here, 9261 Folsom Boulevard. We have Bible study online at 12 noon, where you can find us on Facebook at Destiny Church or here on YouTube, or you can also come out on Wednesday evenings for Bible study at 7 p.m., 9261 Folsom Boulevard. All roads lead to D-Tech, Destiny Church, and I want you to be a part of us. I want you to come hang out with us. I want you to get to know us. We want to get to know you, okay? God bless you. God keep you. Peace.